The Fandom Menace. Observations about it. And the question of whether the Fandom Menace had a huge impact on the fall of Star Wars. Or whether they were insignificant and it would have failed anyways. Because The Last Jedi just sucked and people just would have hated it anyways. So as usual, I just made random notes. So they're not going to be in order of subject. They might go back and forth to different points. Now, in my old age, I've come to realize that there's not much use in arguing with idiots. And if people want to think something, you're not going to be able to change their mind. And here's an example from my life. I had a friend who said to me at one point, I think that you're lying about what you said that you did, and you didn't do it because you're a nice guy. You did it because you were trying to keep me down. And it was just like out of nowhere. They said that about something nice that I tried to do. And I just said to her, if that's what you think, then that's what you should think. I mean, like, if I give you $1,000 and you turn around and you say I did it because I'm an asshole, I'll just say, yeah, okay, good, think that. I want you to think that then, because that's the kind of person you are. Like, it's not my job to fucking explain to you that a gift of $1,000 is a nice thing. I'm trying to illustrate here how I feel about people who think they can change Disney's mind, or people who like The Last Jedi. I don't think you necessarily can. If Disney really thinks that people who hate The Last Jedi are racist pieces of shit, then I think they should think that, because go for it. I'm not going to change their mind, and they just look stupid anyways. So, you know, it's not my job to educate Disney. Another anecdote. In my younger years, there was some guy I knew that was a piece of shit. And I was going on and on and on about what a piece of shit he was, because I was trying to convince everybody that he's a piece of shit. And a friend of mine made a really good point. He said, if this guy is really as bad as you say he is, you won't need to do anything. He will prove it to everybody will see it sooner or later. And so with The Last Jedi, it doesn't matter, like, even if the Fandom Menace didn't exist at all, if there was no YouTube presence whatsoever, and I'm not trying to diminish the Fandom Menace, I'm just looking for some perspective here. Even if it didn't exist, people still would have came around and found out that would have realized after time that The Last Jedi was shit. And, you know, X-Men 3 would be an example. I saw that movie, and I went on the IMDb message boards after I saw the movie in the theater, ranting for like 5 hours. And everybody's going on about how it was pretty good. And I go, you know what? 5 years from now, it's going to be a very different, opinion. You're all going to realize it. And they did. And there was no Fandom Menace for X-Men 3, but it's still known as the worst thing ever that killed the franchise. And so with The Last Jedi, even if the Fandom Menace had not existed, I think there would be considerably less hype anyways for The Rise of Skywalker. And The Last Jedi would still go down as one of the worst, no, not one of the worst Star Wars movie ever. See, because I feel like the Fandom Menace, the bad parts of the Fandom Menace are just as bad as Disney, in a sense that the ones that are trying to convince people of the agenda of the Fandom Menace, they're not going to succeed any more than Disney's going to succeed when they say that The Last Jedi was the best Star Wars movie since Empire Strikes Back. That's not going to be successful either, because you can't really convince people of bullshit, or not bullshit, but things that they don't already believe, or, you know what I'm saying. Now, I originally was, my original videos, I despised The Last Jedi, and I was excited about the idea of the Fandom Menace making a dent, and it probably has, just not as big a dent as some people would like to think. I think the real beauty and value of the Fandom Menace is that it allows people of the same opinion to relate and get some sanity, because it certainly has for me. It made me feel so good to know that other people, I'm not crazy. There's so many people that hate it too. So it's a good way for people to bond, you know? Especially when you're hearing Disney tell you that you're a racist and all that crap. It's good to know that, like, it's good to get confirmation from other people. I mean, this might be the first time I hated something really deeply, and actually found people I could relate to that also hated it. Because, I mean, I hate rock music, and I can't find many people who can relate to that and will say, yeah, you're right, holy shit, it did screw everything up. Or hip-hop music. I also think that as much as Disney pushes agendas, the Fandom Menace, the bad parts, there's good parts. Well, the fact that it's a menace, I guess it doesn't have good parts. But as much as Disney is pushing agendas, the Fandom Menace is overreacting to agendas. And they're giving Disney more power to a degree. They're giving the agendas more power. I mean, it should go without saying to any rational human being that you don't want a political speech in a movie. You don't want to see an agenda, because otherwise it's just a lecture. You don't want to see a movie that's just a lecture. That just goes without saying, kind of. Nobody's going to like that movie, even the agenda pushers, right? If you're a feminist, you're not going to want to see a Star Wars movie that's just like Star Wars, The Rise of Feminism. And instead of lightsabers, there's some feminist symbol. And instead of a story, they just have a bunch of lectures. No feminist is going to say that's a great Star Wars movie. And there's a great many examples of the Fandom Menace overreacting. For example, 2 examples. When J.J. Abrams was quoted saying something like, if you hate women, I could see why you might not like the new Star Wars movies. Something like that. But it was probably taken out of context, and nobody quotes the question he was asked. It's really not that extreme of a statement. I mean, you could say that about anything. I don't think it's a major overreaction. I think it's kind of silly. There's better things to pay attention to. Or when Kazdan Jr. said that Lando was pansexual. The question he was asked was probably something like, do you think Lando might be pansexual? And he's probably just there at the interview, and he's like, yeah, I don't know, sure, maybe. And everybody goes crazy, but what's he supposed to answer? No, he's definitely not, he's straight. I mean, he'd get in trouble for saying that, you know, amongst everybody. Like, who could, he was insinuating, like, who gives a shit what his sexuality is? Yeah, maybe he's pansexual, maybe he's gay, maybe he's... I don't know the actual quote. It doesn't seem like such a big deal compared to other things that were much bigger deals, like Holdo just sucking. And I think it's more important to comment on how it isn't really about how they're pushing females so much as the fact that Holdo sucks, Rose Tico sucks, Ray sucks, the movie sucks, it's boring. I think that goes a lot farther. And then you just ignore them when they say shit like, oh, the haters hate women, that's why they don't like it. You just ignore it completely, and that takes all the power away from the argument. I mean, it's getting to the point where you can almost get publicity for your movie by just saying something to incite Fandom Menace kinds of people. Like, if I make a movie and I say, if you don't like my movie, it means you hate women. Then all these people are going to make YouTube videos about my movie. I get free publicity, right? So I could see that being a viable marketing strategy, publicity strategy. In terms of how important the Fandom Menace was, well, you know, if you've got a YouTube channel, a Fandom Menace channel, that gets 1 million views a day, you're going to probably want to think that you single-handedly destroyed Disney Star Wars. I probably would too. I don't get a lot of views on my videos, so I tend to think I didn't have much of an effect. There's you can't take away from the ego that's involved in the whole thing. But I do think that, you know, they may have had a small effect, but not a big effect. The biggest effect is just the fact that The Last Jedi was a boring movie. Let me clarify what I just said. If you have a popular Fandom Menace YouTube channel, you're going to be inclined to think that the Fandom Menace had an enormous impact, because you want to think that you are responsible. And then if you have a tiny Fandom Menace YouTube channel like my own, you're going to be more inclined to think that the Fandom Menace didn't have a big effect. Because ego can never be separated from the thing. Another thing I find distasteful about the Fandom Menace is how they get a big popular YouTube channel and they start selling t-shirts. and then they start making the same video, the same points over and over again, ad nauseum, because they know people just want to hear all this hatred about Star Wars. And they're doing it so they can make money. And so it's like, how much different are you now from Disney? Because all they care about is money too. And they will actually tailor make their videos, and Disney will tailor make their movies to make money. And so that kind of defeats the point. What the Fandom Menace was supposed to be about, taking down Star Wars, but then you got geeks and gamers and all them selling t-shirts and trying to make more money, trying to stay on top. Yeah. Or there's a YouTuber, John Talks Star Wars, and I really enjoy a lot of his videos. He's well-spoken, and I agree with everything he says, pretty much. But he's said himself, he's like, you keep watching these videos that I make about, Captain Marvel, so I'm going to keep making them. And so he's probably made like 50 videos about Captain Marvel. And he, of course, he's repeating himself, the same ideas all 50 times. And, it's fun to hear just someone bitch about something that you also hate. But it's just as ineffective, or it's just as much propaganda as anything Disney does. Just repeating the same thing over and over again, right? I'd like to say I'm on the outer rim of the Fandom Menace. I definitely participated in it, and I watched all the channels when it blew up after Last Jedi. I was writing constant hate shit on all of the haters' pages, and I bonded with them in my own head. So I guess I'm a part of the Fandom Menace. But, we killed... not we, whatever. It's dead, though. Star Wars is dead. And it's dead. Who cares whether it was the Fandom Menace that killed it or if they killed themselves? Either way, it's awesome. I think a little of both. Star Wars put the gun in their head, and Disney put a gun in their head, into their head, and pulled the trigger. Or was it the Fandom Menace that told them to do that? Who cares? Either is wonderful, right? Either situation. In one, you got a big corporation totally losing their shit and wasting $4 billion and losing money, which is awesome. On the other side, you got the voice of the people making a difference, which is awesome too. So, hey. Now, the Rise of Skywalker is going to be a colossal disaster. But let's just say hypothetically, like in a crazy, in heaven, in the Garden of Eden, so The Rise of Skywalker was a great movie. If that was the case, there would be nothing the Phantom Menace could do to destroy it. Because at the end of the day, it's, it's where the quality is quality. But if nothing else, this Phantom Menace thing has been fascinating, and maybe the first example of like a corporation and a small group of people, and I say small just because they're not billionaires, going to war against each other with pretty much no benefit to either of them. To the minor YouTube channels, they get money now because they got popular YouTube channels. I guess it's good for them, and maybe it's good for Disney because they get the small YouTubers talking about their movies all the time. But I don't think it does anything for the people who are average and of average interest into the subject. Like, they're actually... what I'm saying is that Disney isn't changing the minds of the masses, and neither is the Fandom Menace. The Fandom Menace is only, preaching to the choir of themselves, and Disney's doing the same thing. It's like a conversation where two people are yelling at each other, and nobody's listening. Neither of them are listening to each other. And you're watching them talk, and you're just like, oh, geez. That's like the average person who's like on the fence about the whole thing. They just don't even pay any attention whatsoever. Okay, so that's all. Thanks. Oh, and my last point is, I like to hate what Disney Star Wars is doing, and I love to talk trash and to bury them in the ground and kick them while they're down. And I'd have them all put in jail. I'm very, very vengeful, and I got a great appetite for that shit. And I can't wait to skewer Rise of Skywalker. I can't wait to say really nasty shit about it, and how J.J. Abrams is mentally retarded, and how his children disowned him because he made The Rise of Skywalker, and like, you know, just like satirical shit. Like, I love beating someone to death metaphorically when they do what this asshole did. But I'm just saying, I think that's the purpose of the Fandom Menace. Let's just get together and trash something. But let's not pretend that there's something noble going on necessarily. And there's bigger issues in the world than this anyways. If you like gays, click like. If you like blacks, comment. If you like women, click notification bell. If you like gay women, subscribe. And if you like gay black women, Patreon, human warnings.